Good morning. Hello. Just wiping down a couple of surfaces here before we get started with the tutorial and give people a couple minutes to get here. Hey, Barb. Boop. I love that you boop me. Makes my whole day. Hey, Mandy. How you doing? Good morning to you, too. How's your day going so far? I've been working with the resin, as some of you know, and I apparently have gotten resin all over my holder for my phone here. So I'm just wiping it down. And I'm doing good, thank you, Mandy. I'm looking forward to this tutorial. I love sitting down and painting with you guys. Hey, Samantha. So we are going to do a tutorial today. So if you want to paint along with me, you can. You can paint on any surface with any colors that you want. You just have a single color, that's okay too. And I'm working with an 8-inch canvas. It's actually, a wood panel that I got at the dollar store. You know how they have the wood panels in the canvas section? So I got myself a couple of these. I used a similar one on the Christmas Eve tutorial. And this is just the same one, but you don't have to have something like this. You can have a canvas, you can have a piece of paper, you can have a stone, you can have a mug, you can have anything that you want. I'm gonna choose these 5 colors. What we're gonna work on today is we're gonna work on concentric circles. So from last week's piece, this was the one I did last week, and I'm still not done it. I'm going to keep going. But these circles that go all the way around like this. So you'll very often see in dot mandala art, you'll see pieces that have big bands of these dots going all the way around. So we're going to work on those today, and we're going to work on swoops. We're going to keep kind of adding on the stuff that we've learned up to this point, like doing these little centerpieces, maybe a couple of petals to go in here as well. But we're going to focus on techniques for swoops and doing those big circles. All right, I'm just going to catch up on comments here for a second. And this needs to dry a little bit anyway, too. Good morning, Brianna. How you doing, love? Manon just popped in for a quick hello. Good evening to you. Dinner time here. How was your day yesterday? How are you feeling? How are you doing? I'm so glad you were able to pop in. Oh, that's wonderful, Barb. Thank you. Yeah, I saw her notification. I'm like, oh, poop. It's starting half an hour before mine. I need to start sending her my schedule and get her to send me hers so that we don't end up on at the same time, so that we can be part of each other's more, because I would love to watch more of her lives. She's so good. Hey, Angie. How you doing, love? Merry Christmas. All right, so I just have a white piece of paper on. I use that as my background just because it is a little bit cleaner and nicer to look at while I'm painting on it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through our guidelines. We're going to do some guidelines and get this piece ready to go. So I am using my trusty charcoal pencil, and I'm just going to sharpen it really quickly. I also have a stencil that I'm going to show you, and the options of doing your guidelines with a ruler and a compass. I still use my compass even when I use a stencil, and I'll show you why. And most of the time when I do stones, I don't use the stencil as often. Excuse me. But on big canvases, I'll use them a little bit more. Now, on Christmas Eve, we did a tutorial about guidelines, and one of the things that's important to know is once you do the spacing where you kind of get to the point where you're dotting at the poles, you almost don't need those crisscross lines anymore. The only time you really need it is to find the center. Then the most valuable guidelines, for me anyway, are all of the circles that go around, because that helps me with my spacing as the piece is getting bigger. So you'll very often see me not trying to meet the guidelines of the cross lines. I'm really focusing on the circles, because the circles I find have a much bigger impact on the piece overall. As long as you're not too far off on those cross lines, it's not too bad. But if you get off around the circles, that makes it really, really tough, and your piece can kind of get away from you a little bit. Battle of the Artists, right? It's hilarious. Oh, I love you too, Angie. Angie, who's on here, you guys, is my cousin. She's one of the most beautiful people I know. I'm so lucky to have you as my cousin, and I'm sending you so much love. Manon's okay, feeling better, looking gorgeous. We'll check this live out later on. No. This live is not going to be on my page. The way that these lives on the Saturdays work for the tutorials, it's different than my other lives. So what I do with these ones is, if you want access to the recording of the video, then there is a $5 charge for that. However, because today is the 26th, if you want a copy of it, I will send you a link, and that's my Christmas present to everybody. I hope that that's okay. So Manon, if you, can you shoot me a quick message on Instagram just to remind me that you want the link? And once I get the link up, I will send it to you, my dear. No problem at all. Hey, Angela. Merry Christmas, honey. Hey, Rex, how you doing? Good to see you again, my friends. We're just getting ready to do guidelines. This is the same size wood panel that I used in the last tutorial. We are going to focus today on concentric circles and on swoops. So the first thing that I want to do is to find my center. So I'm going to tilt this up a little bit and bring this in because I got to get my face over this a little bit to mark my guidelines here. So I'm just looking at the half, and then I'm spinning it, and I'm lining it up with this one. Oops, and I'm going over here, making sure I'm lined up. So this is an 8-inch square panel, and then, so I'm gonna draw this line across this way, and then I'm gonna do this one, and go back and do my center line. The reason I'm only doing this is because I am gonna use a stencil, and with the stencil, I just need to find the center. So I bought this stencil off of Amazon. You can get them on Wish too, probably on Etsy. I'm sure there's dot artists that have them on Etsy as well. You don't need to use one of these. If you have a compass, a good old math set with the protractor and everything, you can mark out your angles and divide your canvas yourself, and then just use a compass to draw all of the circles. But if you have the ability to get a set of these stencils, I highly recommend them. I think you get a set of a few stencils and even some dotting tools all together for about 15 or 20 bucks on Amazon. But I would highly recommend this. Now, I still use my compass to join all of the circle lines because I like to have the solid lines. And as you can see here in the stencil, there's gaps in those. So I'm just going to use this. I still add these lines on, even if I don't follow them. It's still nice to kind of see how off I am. I just don't hold myself to them wholly. So I'm just going in here and doing this, finding my center, right? And drawing on my stencils. And like I said, we're going to focus on these concentric circles and these big bands of dots that can go around in big circles. And we are going to do some swoops today too. So if you have a test piece of paper or a test canvas around that you can try these, the swoops on something separate as opposed to on the canvas you're working on, that would be awesome, just to give you a little practice space. If you don't and you want to just wing it and jump right in and see what happens, I'm all for that. You know I'm all for that. That's the way I do things. Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. It's also why I use a black background, because the black background is very forgiving. So if you make mistakes, it's easy to paint over it with your black base coat and your mistake is gone, and then you can just keep going and kind of fix anything there. That's why I tend to use the black background on pretty much everything that I do. It's just very forgiving. All right, I'm going to catch up on comments real quick here before I keep going here. Merry Christmas to you too, Angela. It's good to see you. Thank you for popping in. Hey Sharon, how you doing? Sunny here, but cold. Yeah, the sun's been poking out. We had a little bit of snow, so we've got just enough of a dusting on everything. The trees look really pretty, and it's pretty chilly. I had a couple phone calls this morning, and I don't get cell phone signal inside the house, so I sit outside. I wrap up in big blankets and everything. And I had a couple phone calls this morning, so it's nice to be inside. I'm warming up a little bit, which is nice. How are you doing? Pretty outside but windy. You guys are awesome. Okay, all right, so I'm going to draw on my circles now. So I'm going to use my compass, and I've got my chalk pencil. I'm going to find my center and just start drawing my circles. When you're doing this, because we're going to do these concentric circles, draw a bunch of these. Like, I'm going to draw on a whole bunch of these that are fairly close together. You don't have to. If you just have the stencil and you don't have a compass, then you can use the circles that the stencil will line up for you. You just want to make sure you fill in the gaps that are left by the stencil so that you have a nice solid line to go around. It's possible to do it without it, but I always get nervous and I think, you know what, the one dot that I screw up is going to be right where that space is. So now, if you're using a white charcoal pencil, after you draw your guidelines, you're going to want to have an eraser handy because we're going to actually erase quite a bit of this. Not fully, just enough to lighten the lines. The reason for that is that this chalk pencil, when you dot over it, it could pinch and change the shape of your dots. So what I tend to find happens is when I dot over top of these lines, they almost pinch in from the side. So they almost look like a little 8. Little number 8, and it's really frustrating when your dots turn out nice and round. Balbeer, hello, how are you? It's good to see you again, my friend. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful day yesterday, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope that you had a nice day and were able to take some time to do something that you enjoy, even if it was just for a little while. And if you do celebrate Christmas, I hope that you had a wonderful day and got spoiled rotten and had time with family and hopefully time with people that you could hug. That's the worst part about a lot of this stuff, I find, is I just want to hug people. I just really miss hugging people. So like I said, I'm putting a whole bunch of these lines on here. And now I'm going to be ready to start dotting after I erase these a little bit. So I just want to kind of thin these lines out so that they're not going to impact the shape of my dots. So I literally just go over it with an eraser, just very lightly. And as long as you can see the basic idea, then it's going to be okay. So I'm just doing real light erase. And I'm going to do that all the way out over every line that I've drawn. Because at least if I see it faintly, if it gets too faint, like with my hand rubbing over it and stuff, I can always go back and redraw those lines. So one thing that I mentioned at the beginning, I'll just say it another quick time here while we're doing this. These lives are always going to be free to attend when I'm on live. And if you want access to the recording of the live, there's 2 different options for that for you. One is I have a tipping option set up on my website where tips of any amount are always appreciated, and there's definitely not necessary. But if you choose to tip $5 or more, I'll send you access to the recording of the tutorial. I'm just going to get my eraser stuff gone. And then I'm also working at setting up a Patreon membership as well. So if you just know that you want access to every recording every month, then you can sign up for that as well if you would like. That link isn't ready yet. I will have that ready in the next couple of days though, and I'll post about it when I do. Who's here? Oh, Allie, hello, love. How are you? If you guys are not following 1.618 Art on Instagram and here on Facebook, you guys are missing out on some incredible talent. She also works with Christina Lee on her dotting group as well. And so you guys, a lot of you might already know Allie from that, but she's a wonderful human being. It's amazing how you get so connected to people that you've never met face to face, but as soon as it's amazing the power of the internet, right? Good and bad ways. All right, so these are the colors that I'm going to be using today. I pulled them from my rainbow, and I actually added to the pink. The pink used to look like this, kind of a dusty dark pink, and I added a bunch of neon pink to it, so just brightened it up a little bit. So I am going to just jump in with these colors. There's no pattern to this. I'm just going, I'm going to kind of set up my own little order. I'm going to do it this way and set up my own little order. I'm probably going to use the pink for very delicate detail. And the main colors are going to be these 4. So I'm going to put them off to the side a little bit here. And we're going to figure out what we want to do for our first dot. What color do I want to do the middle? I usually go with the blue. So we're going to start with the blue. Hi, Kim. How you doing? My friend Kim who's on here. I don't know if you guys saw the picture that I posted, but she made me the most beautiful quilt. It's got cats on it, and it's purples and teals and pinks. It's just so freaking pretty. And Audrey loves it, Kim. Audrey, as soon as I spread it out on the bed for her to sniff, she sniffed it top, and I'm like, that's it. That's Auntie Kim. Do you smell Auntie Kim? And then she just flopped over and started rolling on it. She was so freaking happy. Well, I never thought of adding neons to regular paints to brighten them. Do you know where I got that from? Electric Mandala. Lucy does that. And I watched it and I'm like, why the heck am I not doing that? That's so brilliant. And the number of colors that she adds together just to get some of that, even sometimes adding duller colors, but then throwing in a shot of yellow just to brighten it up. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, she does. She was so happy when she got the blanket. She got the blanket. It's my blanket. But when she got to roll on it. All right, so this color of blue that I'm using is probably one of my favorite paints that I've ever used. I enjoy the quality of the paint, and it's got a really nice matte finish, and it's inexpensive because it is dollar store paint. But it's one of my favorite colors too. Like I remember the first time I saw it, I kind of oohed and awed over it a little bit. So I'm just gonna fill this container up a little, make sure there's lots of paint in there. And we're gonna choose a size tool for our center dot. Now, if you're new to dotting, the one thing to know is you don't need any fancy dotting tools to be able to do this. You can use toothpicks, nails, pencils, drill bits, crochet hooks, wooden dowels, barbecue skewers, anything that you have in your house. There's so many things that you can do dot painting with. I have a couple different sets. I've got a set of nail dotting stylus tools. This particular set has some silicone brushes on the end. These silicone brushes are fantastic for pulling paint off when you make a mistake. And then the nail dotting stylus tools, if you were going to invest in tools, the nail dotting stylus tools would be where I would recommend you start. They're usually double-ended tools like this purple one with different size metal balls on the ends. I sell some with wooden handles on my website, but you can get these on Amazon, on Wish. There's all kinds of places you can get them. And if you go to Michael's, take a look in their polymer clay where they have all their sculpture supplies. That's where I got this set that has the silicone ends on them. All right, so, and then I also use a set of tools called DIY Mandala Stones. They have different size ends of dots. Trying to get this in camera so it'll focus. So they come in all kinds of different, they're double-ended as well, and they're numbered, which is really, really great. They're my favorite tools, and I think for a set that goes from 1 millimeter all the way up to 28 millimeters, I want to say we're about $60, but you can buy smaller sets as well for $15 and $20. So I'm going to choose the size for my center dot. I'm actually going to choose a fairly big one for the center dot. Hey Ish, how you doing, love? All right, so I'm going to place this center dot. So when I go to place the center dot, I'm not only looking at the cross lines, I'm looking at the smallest circle, because that's the really big one. I want it to be nice and center within that circle so that the rest of my guidelines are going to be useful to me. So you place your center dot. This is always the most stressful part to me, but it looks like it's pretty well centered in those lines. So I'm really happy with that center dot. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to build the inner couple of circles I'll go back to this piece from the other day. So just like we built these few little rings here in the middle, we're going to do that again here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do basically the same size dots. There's a couple different ways you can do it. I could have done, instead of making these purple dots so large, I could have made them a little bit smaller and just done a very solid ring of purple dots around the middle. But I wanted to leave some space so that I could put these little tiny green accent dots in there. And we're going to do that again with this piece. So, but if you choose, you don't have to do it the way I'm going to. You could choose one of your smallest tools and just fill this in with a solid one color in that whole round. Okay, so I'm going to just grab my tool that I need for this one. Okay, so the way that we're going to start this is you can line up with your guidelines, but I'm going to show you a trick so if you don't have any guidelines that you can still get that spacing. So I always dot across from me for the straight lines. Okay, so once I do a dot at 12 o'clock, I'm going to spin my canvas around and I'm going to have that dot's now at 6 o'clock. And now I'm going to put this one up at 12 o'clock. Then I'm going to turn it to the side. So I'm now at 3 and 9, and I'm going to do a dot at 12 again. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to spin it one more time. And now I call this having my poles, right? So my north, south, east, and west poles now have dots. So now I can decide how I want to fill it in. All right, so I'm going to, I need to decide, am I going to put a middle dot here and then divide those spaces in half again? Or do I want to just have 2 dots in between these big ones and have lots of space? I don't want that much space, so I'm going to go and I'm actually going to just split this space in half. Again, I'm ignoring these guidelines, right? Because I'm just looking at how these spaces are going to work with the size tools that I use. That's why the round circles are always so much more important in my mind, because I might change it based on the size tool. So I'm just dividing those ones in half. And then I'm flipping up to this side again so I can dot across from me. I apologize, the dogs are gonna bark a little bit. We got some family stopping by to do a little porch drop of some presents for the kids here. So I apologize if it gets a little bit noisy. So now I've got all of those done. Let me get a little closer actually. So there we go. So now we've got all of those ones done. So now I'm going to go back and go in between those and do another dot again. So this might completely foil my plan for having space for the little tiny dots, but I think I'll still be able to get in there with a toothpick to add some accents. So that's not a big deal. So I'm going to divide this space in half again, right? And then I'm going to put this one in half. And then we just keep spinning around. And this is going to give us our base circle because everything else is going to be spaced like this. Now this is also an important technique because when we get to the concentric circles, we're going to build those out the exact same way as this. The only difference is that the center dot isn't going to be there. We're going to be doing it solely based on these round guidelines that are going around. But we're going to start them the same way by dotting the poles and then dividing each space in half. Okay? So this is good practice for that. It is trippy, isn't it? You're going to love the color combo. It's going to be the same color combo with the greens and the teals and the pinks, like I did that small pendant-ish. All right. And I've got a little music playing in the background too. Hopefully it's not distracting. Gotta have some Jason Mraz playing. So just dividing those spaces in half, cleaning off your tool very regularly, at least every 3 dots, if not more often. Sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 dots, but you will notice that as the paint builds up on the tool, it is going to impact the size of your dot. So a really good habit to get into is cleaning it at least every 2nd dot so that you have a nice clean tool and your dot sizes are going to stay good. Okay, so I'm not going to put the little detail dots in the middle yet. I'm going to go right on to the next row of these dots. And my next color is going to be purple. Oh no, I totally lied. My next color is going to be teal. So I'm going to choose a slightly bigger tool this time. Not too much bigger though. but a slightly bigger tool so that my next row of dots are going to be slightly bigger than the blue ones. I should probably move the paint so I don't dump it. And then always start off small, right? If you're ever in doubt, always start off small, because you can always put a larger dot over top if you need to. Always better to go with the smaller tool, and then you can always fix it after. So this one looks like a good size. And, excuse me, and it was a good second to stop and take a drink. All right, so now you can continue to go the poles and do the poles and then start to fill in. But what I typically do is just do every other one. Now, the reason I do every other one and I don't just go to this one is we all tend to lean one way or another. So if I was to just go one right and right after the other, I would probably have a bunch of dots that are all misaligned to the left or misaligned slightly to the right. So just as important as it is to place this in the center between these two dots here, when I go to place that dot in the middle, I also want to be very mindful that I'm halfway between the two teal dots too. This tool is just a little bit small, so I'm just going to grab one more size up. If I can find it. There we go. All right. The dogs are singing a little bit because they don't like to not be included. So I'm just going to fix that one a little bit. Oh. If you get something like this happens a lot on canvas, and sometimes it can happen on wood if it's not super flat or you hit a spot. I have a little pin stuck into the end of an eraser that I can use to just kind of push the paint around a little bit and get it to fill in and be a round dot. I'm going to try and do this so you can get a little bit better color. So I'm going to go all the way around the circle, just doing every other one, and then I will go back in and backfill after. Okay, so we're going to do 3 of these rows. So we're on row number 2 now. And then we're going to do a 3rd row with another color. There we go. There we go. So now that we've got those ones done, I'm going to go in and fill in the spaces. And that's going to help me make sure that it's centered between these 2 dots and it's going over that little pocket there. Okay, so I'm going to go right here. And there, now I've got a good space in between there. This is one of the biggest things, and you'll hear me say this over and over and over again. Even just doing rings like this, just changing colors a bunch of times, is incredibly good practice for your spacing. If you have an issue with spacing not being consistent, this is where you want to start. Just doing this pattern over and over and over again, and it'll really make a difference with your spacing. And if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer your questions. What I typically will do is I'll paint for a little bit, and then I'll see if there's comments to catch up on, and then I'll come back. So if you don't get an answer right when you type it in, please know I will scroll back and catch up, okay? All right, singing puppies. Poor Finny. Hates when he's left out of things. Total FOMO. All right, so that is row number 2. So coming back out a little bit, and then I'll come back in nice and close. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my 3rd color, which for me is gonna be lime green. Let me know what colors you're using too. You can use one color, you can use any number of colors that you want to, and then just switch them up however you like. And I'm going to go up slightly in my tool size again, and I'm going to do the exact same process. I'm going to do every other one, and then I'll go back in and backfill those spaces. I still try to dot across from me so that I can get those nice straight lines. Every once in a while, I'll kind of go down the side, but dotting across from you will help you keep some nice straight lines and help with spacing a little bit too. So if I'm trying to go straight across from that one, it helps keep them straight. Let me come down a little closer again and see if... I know that the lights are a little bright, so I apologize that the color's not popping out too much. Maybe that's a little bit better. and cleaning off your tool again very, very regularly. Did you buy neon paints or did you turn regular paints neon with something? So for the pink, I did add some neon paint that I had to make the pink a little bit brighter, but this green and the blue and the teal, they are not neon. They're just regular old teal and green paints. Thankfully, most of the brands have a ton of different colors you can choose from. So this one is kind of like a bright green grass or green apple. But you can use neon paints to brighten up any colors that you have. You can get like the Liquitex Basics neons, or you can get, I just have the Craft Smart neons. And you can definitely, I can definitely add that in. I freaking love this lime green, right? I freaking love it. I have a whole new love for lime green that I never had before since starting to do all of these rainbow pieces. So I'm just going back in and filling in those spaces again. So again, if you're following along, you can be painting this on anything that you want. You can be using a stone, you can be using a piece of paper. I did one tutorial a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was a week ago now, that was just on a piece of paper. You don't need anything fancy. It's all about practice. Practice, practice, practice. And that's what I'm hoping to help you with, is what are the different techniques that you can sit and practice, and then how can you combine those different techniques to give you different effects. So there's a bunch of cool different patterns that we're going to work on over the next little while, where we take all of these basics that we're learning and putting them into play. I'm glad you said that. Okay, good. You're welcome. And I apologize. Sound warning for you. I have to blow my nose really quick. So sorry. I'm at least going to move away. I try to give you a little bit of warning, so at least you can turn the volume down if you have to. And I honk like a foghorn, so I'm so sorry. Camera's shaky a bit. Yes, unfortunately, I have it attached to my desk, and it's a little bit wobbly, so I'll have to do that. Oh, Denise, that's okay. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad you were here. If anybody wants a copy of this tutorial, you can go to my website, and there is a tipping option. Under the Facebook Live section. Tips of any amount are greatly appreciated. They are certainly not mandatory at all, but if you choose to tip $5 or more, then I'll send you access to the recording for this. So now I'm going to go to purple, and we are going to start to build a couple of petals. So again, very similar to... I'm going to have to find somewhere else that I can mount my camera-ish, I think, because it's a little shaky. So we're still going to do a little row of petals like we did here in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to use a bigger one, and we're going to create a couple of petals. And then we're going to start doing some swoops in between these petals to fill up some space. So we got a couple more sets of walking dots to do, creating these petals, and then we will get into the swoops. So I'm going to go quite a bit larger. Does not matter how large, you can pick and choose. And this one I'm only going to do every other one. Okay, I always sound like a foghorn when I blow my nose. My husband and kid and how honk. That's amazing. Like, it's not like I do it on purpose. I don't know how to blow my nose quiet. Just make it a contest now. I'm glad I'm not the only one though. That's awesome. Allie, that stone never got to you, did it? I'm going to do you a new one. I had done a paw nugget for Allie, and I don't think it ever got to you, did it? I'm sure I would have heard if it ever did miraculously show up. You know, as soon as I make you a new one and send it, the other one is going to show up, right? So we'll put that out into the universe. You get two of them. Allie has the cutest puppy, Nala. She's so sweet. Atta girl. Oh my goodness, can you guys hear Finn howling in the background? He's howling up a storm. Okay, so we're gonna do some walking dots. So the first part of walking dots is to put our peak dots. Okay, so I'm gonna do the peak dots first, and then we'll do the walking dots. The peak dots I do still dotting across from me, and then when I do the walking dots, I do them in front of me and walk them down and around. Okay, but we're gonna start with the peak dots, and I'm going back to, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with teal. And I apologize if you can hear Finn howling in the background. I enjoy it. It's character. Not that he's unhappy. I don't enjoy that, but okay, so I'm gonna go with teal. And again, you can mix your colors up any way you want to. When I first started, I literally stuck to a specific order. If I had 5 colors, I put them in line and I would move paint pots back and forth in line so that I was always repeating them in the same order. Whatever you want to do that makes you happy and makes you feel like you've got a little system going on. Sometimes I wing it, sometimes I follow a system. It all depends. Today I'm just gonna wing it. It is out in the universe somewhere. I know, only hope that whoever did get it really likes it. But I'm gonna do you another one soon. Can you not just take a second, hug that dog? He's in the other room. I'd have to leave you, and I don't think it would help. I think it would just make it worse. It's because all the cousins are here too, and he wants so badly to go out and see them. Finn again. Finn. Finn, it's okay. I don't know if he'll believe me or not, but we'll give it a shot. It's okay, buddy. All right. So I'm going to use a slightly smaller tool for walking the dots. I'm just going to use this kind of needle one. And when I walk the dots, so you're dipping once and then you're dotting a whole bunch of times, moving down the surface. So you're going to get smaller and smaller dots because there's going to be less and less paint on the tool. So you're going to dip it once and then you start dotting. And I always count, so that was 6 dots for me. So I'm gonna count 6 dots again the next time on the next side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is part of the meditative process for me. I really like doing that counting. I find I can get into a bit of a rhythm, especially if I've got some good music on, but I find I have to do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and that one was 7 because I made a little tiny dot at the top. That's okay too. If they're not even on both sides, don't stress about that, you guys. That's stuff that comes. And sometimes it just happens. And once, like that one I had 7 and this one I had 6. That used to completely freak me out and go, oh my gosh, I ruined the whole thing. This is horrible. I need to start over. I need to paint over and get them even. No, you don't. Keep going. Just keep going, okay? I promise you, once you get into the design, that's the practice part of it. I mean, if it's something really is bothering you, then you can definitely change it, but try and keep yourself to just keep going. That's the practice, and eventually it'll just start to happen. 3, 4, 5, 6. And see how I still have those nice spaces in between each of those dots, so I can go in and add. I'm going to add some of that bright pink in there. Oh, thanks, Angie. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope you're doing good, love. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 on that one too. It's going to depend on how much paint you have on your tool too, right? That one did 6, but still looks okay. I always have music and I always count. It's so soothing, isn't it? It's so relaxing. It's a form of meditation, you know, and what you'll find if you talk to a lot of dot artists is that they have struggled with anxiety and depression in their lives, and that the dot art is what's helped them through it all. Oh, Finny's singing. Finn, it's okay. No, it's not. Yes, exactly. Just like Dory. Just keep swimming. Just keep going. There's a lot of pieces that I've done where I have not liked them and almost given up on them partway through. And then when I finally get through and add the detail and keep going, they turn out beautifully. What if you don't put enough paint and you run out of dots too soon? That's not too bad to fix. Then you just go back in. You can either pull those dots off and paint over them with black again if you want to, or you can just go back in as long as you catch it when it's wet. You can go back in with your tool, get more paint on, a proper amount of paint on, and just go right over top of them. It is. It's also a form of control. Dots are literally the only thing in my life that I can control. You know what it is? And that's part of meditation, my dear, is realizing, you know what, there's only so many things that I can control, and some things I just have to let happen. What can I control? And put my energy in those things, not in the things that I can't, right? That's the hard part about this year. Really hard part about this year. And that takes practice too, right? We actually have a lot of things that we can control, but it takes a lot of practice to learn how. And that takes time. I found that this art form has taught me a lot about patience as well. That patience isn't something that you are. It's not a personality trait. It's not an identification. It is a skill, just like learning a language. I'm very patient, quote unquote, when I'm doing this. But there's lots of other places in my life where I'm not patient at all. It really is all about, are you spending time doing something that you enjoy? And that's when practice becomes easy, right? Watching and knitting, can you please keep your counting to 1, 2, 3? Oh, sorry, Barb, that's gotta be hard. Oh, thanks, Kim, smartass. I know, it happens all the time. And I used to really, really freak out about it. I hated it when that happened. But now, I'm like, yeah, it happens. It's all good. All right, I'm going to do another row of walking dots. I'm going back to my blue. I have a really big thing that I don't like to do walking dots that are the same color that they're going to run into down here. The size of the dots make it look completely different, but that's just my own brain, one of my own brain weird things. And see how I'm not following these guidelines? It's okay. That's going to happen. Don't tie yourself and live and die by these guidelines, okay? It's just going to stress you out, and it's completely unnecessary. Trying to count with you, but you went one over. Can't count higher than that. I know, it's awful. I do it to myself. I kind of catch myself. I'm like, oh, well, that's not the right number. I'll sometimes even look for, well, there's got to be an extra place to put a dot, or panic when I put down too many. This art form is, I'm 100% convinced why I was able to survive some depression and anxiety, the worst that I'd felt in my life anyway. And it's given me a passion to keep going and doing something. And I think it just shows how important it is to spend some time each day just doing something that you really enjoy, that doesn't necessarily have to serve a purpose. The only purpose, serving the purpose of making us happy should be more than enough purpose, right? That shouldn't need anything more than that. But we live in a society where we need to be productive and we need to be effective and all of these things. Sometimes you just need to be happy, and everything else is going to help. Hot pink is coming in very, very, very soonish. I promise. Yes, this artist taught me to be patient with myself and taught me to practice self-love and self-acceptance. Totally. Totally. I count when I chop veggies. Yes, totally. It's soothing, isn't it? All right, after this set of walking dots, I promise the hot pink is coming in. And once we do this set of walking dots, then we will be set up for a good space to do some swoops. So the swoops are coming too. 3, 4, 5, 6. That one was a 7 and the other one was a 6. So I'm using a slightly larger tool now. Yeah, we really have to prioritize self-care. And somebody said to me, well, that's really selfish. And the thing that I've learned is that I cannot be, if I want to be my best me for the people that I love, I have to take care of myself. Because when I'm not taking care of myself, I am cranky, I snap at people, I overreact to things, and I'm just not fun to be around. And I don't want my family and friends, the people that I love, to have to spend time with me when I'm miserable to be around. I don't want to subject people to that. So if I take care of myself, then I'm going to be able to be the best me for the people that I love. Yep, swoops are coming. I've had people say that, yeah. What are you doing? Just sitting around doing nothing all day? Or must be nice. Must be nice to have the time to do that sort of stuff. Well, it's a priority for me because I know that it's how I'm going to function better. I get a lot of that. Must be nice. Must be nice to just sit and paint all day. Yeah, it is. What do you want me to say? You want me to feel bad about it? I'm not going to, because I love it and it makes me happy. And I've spent way too many days being absolutely miserable and trying to be somebody to make other people comfortable. This is for me and I love it. So yeah, it is nice to sit and paint all day, right? It's interesting. Well, and that's the thing, and I try to have some compassion for those people too and say, these people have never felt how I feel when I'm painting. So they have no perspective, right? And I feel bad. I feel bad for people who are that unhappy. It makes me sad and it makes me wish that they would be able to experience that feeling. And, happy people just don't say stuff like that, right? We always have to remember, happy people do not crap on other people. Finnegan! Enough. You're okay. Happy people just don't do it. Happy people do not crap on other people. They just don't. And, I try to remind myself of that, going, you know what, you're in some amount of pain if it makes you feel better to kind of crap on me, right? Like if I'm the most important thing that you have to focus on right now, then I hope you're able to find something more worthy of your time, right? They clearly need some self-care in their own lives. Exactly-ish. Exactly. And, and there's some people that aren't even slightly interested in exploring the idea that they could change that themselves if they really wanted to. I was talking with a friend of mine and we were talking about expectations, that we expect other people to act a certain way to keep us happy. And if someone came to us and said, hey, I need you to act this way so that I have a better life and my life is happier, I'd probably tell them where to go. To probably tell them where to, just to pound sand, right? But we don't do ourselves the same favors. We just don't. And we need to. We need to be able to jump in there and say, no, I'm not going to expect that of you. Because if somebody ever came to me and said, hey, I need you to be different so that I can be happy and feel good about myself, it's just not, I don't have energy for that. All right, we're ready for some hot pink. Yeah, I know. Finn is definitely letting us know that he's not happy. Happy dogs don't howl like that. It's so true. I tell my child, hurt people hurt people. Exactly. When people are mean to you or others, that means that they're in pain as well. Exactly. And, being irritated that other people are in pain and it's affecting my life, in my mind, that's where we can all, and we've all done it. I'm guilty. We've all done it. When we need other people to be somebody else, that's kind of the selfishness part, right? I don't need that. Don't need that. And I don't want that pressure on me, and I don't want to add that pressure to anybody else. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. All right, hot pink. So I'm going to start with a toothpick, and we are going to do little teeny tiny hot pink dots in between the blue ones in that first row. So I literally have just a little jar of toothpicks that I'm going to go through and find the pointiest one. The amount of time I spend inspecting toothpicks is a little ridiculous. It's kind of laughable. But I find it soothing too. I'm like, nope, not a good one. As soon as I find a good one, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've accomplished something. Like, I found the best sharp toothpick today for tiny dots. It's so exciting. Yes, it is. It's the codependency. We'll get to some giant ones, I promise you, because we're going to add in some pink swoops too. But for now, I'm just going in little teeny tiny right in here. Let's get in nice and close. I want to thank you guys who come and sit and spend all this time with me, because you guys, it's so nice to sit with people who just want to be kind to each other and encourage each other and help each other experience more joy, We have a little chat group with some of us, a bunch of people that were on TikTok together and have met each other through there, and we have a nice little chat that we talk about. And one of the members of that chat sent a picture of their nephew, and just you could tell that this kid was just experiencing just the purest level of joy and bliss. And we kind of said, you know what, that's the life goal, to feel like that more often. And realizing it's a bit of a gut punch when you realize, like, I'm not even prioritizing that feeling. I keep saying I want it, but I'm not doing anything to prioritize it and make it something that is important to me. I'm certainly not acting like it's important to me to feel like that, you know, and that takes practice. But that's where it comes into play. Take some time every day to do something that you enjoy, right? All right. That's row 1 done. We're going to keep going. We're going to do another row of these tiny dots. Just a slightly bigger tiny dot. I'm still using a toothpick. I'm just putting a little bit more paint on it, and I probably won't clean it off as often. And then that goes right in there. So that's where our accents are coming in so far. Oh, thanks, Deanna. I'm glad. It's one of the beautiful things, and I hope that everybody that comes to my lives is able to sit and relax and take some breaths and just enjoy some time with some friends, and maybe learn something new, and maybe learn some new fun ways to create pretty things. You know, that's the only goal of this. And I'm so lucky that I get to do this every day, and the fact that people want to come and hang out and do this too, it's just amazing to me. And I'm so grateful for you guys, and thank you for always bringing so much love to these lives. And I think it's going to, because you guys are putting all of that love out there on these, that means that we're gonna find more people that want to feel that love, and they'll come and spend time with us, and we'll have this incredible little community together. And it's just so gratifying. Do you find that too, Allie, with the Facebook group? Are you just loving it more than you ever expected? You should watch Soul. I saw the commercial for it. I have to check and see if we have Disney Plus. If not, I might have to sign up for my own account for 1 month and watch it, because I really, really, really want to watch it. I think it's all of the stuff that I've been learning about over the last couple of years and really putting it into play. I'm dying to see it. I just saw the trailer for it literally this morning when I was laying in bed playing on my phone. Here we go. So slightly bigger. I've gone up to one of the smallest of my nail dotting stylus tools now, the kind of needle point one. All right. And then before we do swoops, I'm going to pull out my test canvas. So if you do have a test piece of paper or a test canvas that you can kind of play around with a little bit, definitely have it handy, because I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques for the swoops. And then you can see what you are comfortable with. For swoops, you're going to need to have a slightly larger tool, one of them maybe, hopefully, in a perfect world, a nail dotting stylus tool, and another tiny tool. So either a pin stuck into the end of an eraser on a pencil like I use, or a really sharp toothpick, or even just a sewing pin that you're comfortable holding in your hands, or a tiny paintbrush, like I don't know what the sizes actually mean, but 20-/0 is the size paintbrush that I used to use. I do a really bad job of taking care of my paintbrushes, so that's why I don't use them anymore. Until I'm willing to commit to taking good care of them, I'm not allowed to touch the paintbrushes for these things. So I don't use them anymore. But the artist community is so much about love. It's amazing. And it's one of the things that I found about TikTok. And, you know, people laugh at me all the time and say, why do you spend so much time on TikTok? I'm like, because it's all about encouragement and people cheer each other on. It's nice. It's really nice. It's a wonderful little community. I'm totally going to have to watch that movie. All right, so I'm going to go for now. We're going to set up. If you have space left in between your walking dots like I do here, I want to fill that space. You see me almost dump the paint? Woo! I'm going to go in here and add just some slightly larger dots to start filling in those spaces. I watched the second it was added, and then watched it again with family. You have a corsage pin. Oh, nice. All right, hold on one second here. So I'm going to a slightly larger dot, and I'm going to put that right in the middle here, just to kind of round this out a little bit. All right. Just keep spinning. This is just gonna help me have a little bit more space between the bottom and the where I'm gonna do my swoops. So just adding in a little space. And we're gonna do pink and purple swoops. So once I'm done this little row, then we will go in, but this is just a quick way to fill in those spaces if you have a lot of space left. There. So I'm gonna pull out my test canvas. Diesel, sit down. Diesel, come sit down. Sorry guys, that's Diesel in here with me. And she's just, people are coming and going from the house, so she's going a little crazy. Diesel, come. Diesel, come lay down. Good girl, lay down. Good girl. Diesel's staying with us for a little while. And she's just the absolute sweetest, but she's a total shepherd. She's got lots to say about everything. Okay, so this is my test canvas, and I want to show you a couple different techniques for doing swoops. Okay, and then we'll jump back to the canvas that we're working on. You can choose the size of your swoops by the size of your tool. The size is completely up to you and how you want to use it. And it's really all about just playing around with it and getting used to which tools, Diesel, which tools you want to use. So that, Diesel, come lay down. So you can choose kind of how they work. So you want to make sure that you're practicing them quite often so you can see how your different tools react, okay? You should add some white dots somewhere. Yes, I totally will. I'm going to do a lot of top dots on this one too, and that's going to bring it up to white and make all those big dots look like they're glowing in the dark. Okay, so let me get nice and close to this canvas here, okay? So I'm going to pull a bunch of paint here. There's two different ways, so I'll show you the first way. Bunch of paint. I'm going to put my tool down on the surface and hold it there for a second, and then I'm going to slowly move the tool down. Problem with this is the paint doesn't always travel as far as you want it to go, but it can create a nice little swoop, but it is a slow process. And then you just slowly pull down. Okay, so that's option number one. And this is, Diesel, come lay down. Lay down. Good girl. She's so good. So keep practicing this one where you just dip and you put it down and then slowly pull down. Just remember that you don't have quite as much control over the shape with these swoops as you do when you use a pin. So I'm going to do the same tool. And actually, I'm going to just change color to make it really, really obvious. I'm going to go to, I've got a yellow that's nice and bright, so you'll be able to see it well. Yeah, I definitely will add some white though-ish for sure. Okay, so I'm going to take some paint on this tool, same tool, and this time I'm just going to lay my dot down. Diesel, come lay down. Okay, and so I laid my dot down. I apologize for the noise, you guys. Thank you for being so patient with me. I apologize if it's really loud. And then I've got this. It's a pencil with a pin. I snipped one and I shoved it into the bottom of an eraser. And now this is what I use for my swoops. You can use a toothpick, like I said. You can use a pin that you've got just lying around. And then I grab the pin and I start pulling the paint down. And just keep pulling the paint down. And this allows me to control a lot more the shape of my swoop and how long it is and what direction it goes, right? So then I just start pulling the paint down. I'm gonna see if I can get a little closer. Diesel, lay down. Diesel, 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 come lay down. Lay down. Hey, lay down. Diesel, lay down. She's got so much to say. Diesel, lay down. Good girl. And then if you have to, like with this one, I want to flip it this way because this one's a little jagged. So this is a more time-consuming process, but you have a little bit more control. So it's completely up to you which ones you want to do. I like these ones because I like to make sure I have the symmetry and they all kind of look the same. But that can help there. She's upset that people are coming in and out of the house and that she's in here, stuck in here with me, and she can't go outside. Yeah. All right, so that's option number 1 and 2, okay? So those are the two ones that I use. Like I said, you can use a toothpick, and then you can change the size and you can change the direction too. So like, for example, when I'm using that pin, I have a lot of control to make like semicolon shape, right? So I'm just adding, the longer I hold my tool, the more paint is going to come off of my tool and sit there in the dot. That's helpful as well, to have lots of paint there. Okay, but then I can change the direction of the swoops as well. Like I can just do this one side, right? And then pull this down this way, right? You can change the direction and where it's gonna go and how's it gonna curl around, all of that sort of stuff. Diesel, lay down. Diesel, lay down. Diesel, come lay down. I'm really sorry, you guys. All right, so see how you can change the shape? That's where it's really helpful to have this pin in the end. So you can really kind of control what's happening with your swoops. Diesel, lay down. Diesel, lay down. Lay down. Diesel, lay down. All right, okay. All right, sorry guys. Okay, so those are your different options for swoops. You can just drag them down or you can use the pin. I almost always use the pin, like I said, because I'm a bit of a control freak, maybe, and I like to know what's happening with those. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my canvas that we're working on again, and here we go. So we're gonna do some swoops in there, and I'm gonna try and get in nice and close for you. How you doing, Jan? How you doing today? All right, so I'm gonna start with a pink swoop. Okay, so it's completely up to you, and this is all going to be trial and error. I have my favorite tools that I work with, and I just kind of go to them now without really thinking too much. When I look at, you know, how much space am I trying to cover, how long do I need these swoops to be, what kind of distance do they have to travel, all that kind of stuff. So I have my favorite tools to use for these sorts of things. Finn, it's okay. So I'm using one that's about this size because I want to have some nice plumpy swoops at the top. Okay, but it's completely up to you. There's a lot of artists that do a lot of really skinny swoops, and they're just as beautiful. So this is also where your guidelines are going to come into play. I'm actually going to line up these swoops with this top guideline here. I'm going to make some really big ones. So these guidelines, again, are going to come in really helpful, not necessarily for placing which direction things are going, because it's not going to help me keep it straight. That's why I'm going to go straight out this way and dot across from me, but it will help me make sure that all of the swoops come out to the same place, right? When you don't have those guidelines, you could have some that come way out here, some that only come out here. It's a little harder to eyeball. Diesel, lay down. Good girl. All right, so I'm going to put lots of paint on my tool. And I'm going to drop a dot right here. And I'm going to let lots of paint come off of this. Now, those swoops where you just drag, I'm just adding some more paint here. Those swoops where you drag down are really, really good to do if you're doing little tiny delicate pieces like the little tiny stones or magnets or anything fairly small. Because with a small needle tool or with a small toothpick, those dragging swoops work really, really well. Right? Oh, it didn't work? Oh, that's the hard part. Do you have a sewing pin or anything that you could snip off? Like if you have a pair of pliers or something that has the snips, you could snip them off and then stick them into a back of an eraser, if that helps. And then we're going to go here. I hope you guys can see this all okay. And I'm going to start dragging the paint down with the pin. Satisfying scrapey sound. I hope it doesn't bother anybody. And then I'm going to start bringing this one in like this. And just very slowly pulling the paint where I want it to go. All right, so now we turn. This is where I turn an awful lot because I want to always be dotting across from me for something like this, right? And clean your tool off. Definitely clean your tool off after every single dot with this because you're putting this tool aside for a little bit and the paint will start to dry and harden and could create some big glops and yucky stuff that you don't want to have to deal with. And it's very common. I'll go back in and grab some extra paint and just touch it down, and it'll start to pull it off there for me. So then going in with the pin again and just pulling straight down towards me. This is how I have a much better chance at being able to create a nice sharp point at the bottom too. Just make adjustments for next time. Yeah, and that's perfect. Use today to practice just with the dragging maybe. Or if you have a toothpick. It's funny, everyone says, oh, you have toothpicks lying around. Like, I never had toothpicks lying around before I started painting, and then I had to go to the dollar store and get some. So I apologize if I'm acting like it's something that everybody just has around. I know that it's not. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, you guys. Woo! Oh, so sorry. Time to take a drink, I guess. Maybe I need to shut up for a little while too. But that wouldn't be good. So we're going to keep going. All right. Another pink swoop. All right. Add a little bit more paint. So these are very time consuming, obviously, right? But they work. It works. I just bought a pack of 3,000 toothpicks off Amazon. Oh, that's a good idea. And you know what you could probably do too, you guys? You could get the plastic toothpicks. They would probably work well because the wood ones, especially if you're working on a larger piece, they absorb a lot of the paint and they can kind of go mushy sometimes. So even if you're able to find something that's plastic, that could work too. There we go. All right. Cleaning off my tool. I'm holding my pencil with the pin in my mouth. And then, oh, there we go. Dotting across from me again. And this is, again, keeping it nice and even so that when we get around to doing some circles, which is coming next, after we do some more swoops. We've got quite a few more swoops to do, but then we're going to do our first concentric circle around. All right, so I'm going to drag some paint. All right. And there we go, pulling it down. And again, you can make them as wide or as narrow as you want, right? That's the beauty of being able to pull the paint around. You can make them however you want. All right, Diesel, don't you dare start barking. Don't you dare start barking, Diesel. Like I'm gonna do anything, right? Diesel, Diesel! I also love using my 3mm mechanical pencil for tiny dots. Oh, that's a really good idea, Jerry Lynn. I never thought of doing that. That's brilliant. And there we go. So add some more paint. And there we go. So I've got a nice good amount of paint. If you don't put down enough paint, then you're not going to have enough to drag and spread around, right? So make sure you add extra paint if you need to, or just glop it on in the original. Diesel, stop. Good girl. Everybody's in now. It's okay. Diesel, come lay down. Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. Good girl, Diesel. Lay down. Good girl. Good girl. Allie, if you're still here, we're listening to some Jason Mraz. Make sure you're filling your ears with that good stuff, too. His new album, you guys, is the most optimistic thing I think I've ever heard, and it's so full of love. I listen to it all the time. Everyone's like, how do you listen to positive music all the time? Like, because I want to feel positive. So I'm going to fill my ears with the way that I want to feel. All right. Almost done. 2 more swoops to go. How are you guys making out? Does anybody have any questions? Is there any questions I can be answering for you? I hope that this is making sense. And I hope that this is helping you so that you can start adding some swoops to your pieces as well. Surprised your dogs. Yeah, I hope that that's not happening for anybody. I'm so sorry. I'm really glad that that didn't trigger your dogs to bark. Especially when Finn was howling and singing, eh? All right. Letting more paint come off. There we go. All right. So it's fun to play with the shapes of these too. And especially when you start putting dots in next to them, it's interesting to start playing with shape and figuring out how you can make it look a little different and how you can work it to your advantage, right? There's a lot of freedom. Diesel. All right. All right, there we go. Last big pink swoop. I think we need some bright green. I don't know about you, but I think we need some bright green with these pink swoops. My dog can usually tell the difference between local barking and not local. That's amazing. Blue, well done. All right, so we are gonna go with lime green. It's a fun pink, isn't it? All right, lime green, here we go. So now let's talk about doing swoops next to the swoops that you already have laid down. I typically go slightly smaller. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, you guys. Your dog knows. That's amazing, eh? So I go with a slightly smaller tool. You don't have to, but I find that as you move over to the side, especially if you're going to move to the side and you're going to bring it down, right? Like I'm not going to have this lined up here. I could if I wanted to, totally, but it's going to be down a little bit more, probably closer to this guideline, kind of where this bulge starts to narrow in. That's where I'm going to put the next one. So this swoop is going to be a lot smaller, okay? Ooh, whites. Oh, why don't we do that then? Yeah, let's do white and then we'll do lime green on the other side because we're still going to add in some more. I'm going to stir up my white. Thank you, Ish. Thank you for reminding me. Definitely got to get the white in here sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's going to look like an afterthought, right? All right. Stirring up my white paint. I use these little paint pots all the time, you guys. I find them so easy and not as opposed to working out of the lid of my paint bottle. I know a lot of people will use the lid of their paint bottle, but I find that it is so unbelievably cumbersome. Hey, go lay down. Good girl. I find that it's just so nice to pull out just a little bit and then I don't get my paint all dirty. So I'm going to do a slightly smaller dot here. Still nice and close, but just kind of lined down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to start at the right side of the dot and I'm going to pull it down to match, to line up with the pink one. Okay. Just like that. Then I'm going to pull this side in and down. Right? Make sense? So that's how it gets a little bit side. Oh, thank you, Belbear. I really appreciate it. That makes me so happy. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And then I go to the other side. Right? And then I can't work out of my paint. It does. It dries really fast and then it gets your paint bottle all gunky. I've never had luck with it. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I see a lot of people doing it and I'm like, how do you have the patience for that? I would chuck that lid and bottle across the room. I'd go through so much paint. So there we go. I'm pulling it back in and down again, pulling the paint in. The only thing with the scraping is if sometimes you have to add a little bit more paint down in the bottom. There we go. Not bad, eh? So I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. Or would you rather see it up super close? Do we need a super close up, you guys? Because we can do a super close up. Let's do this one from far out and then we'll do a super close up. The reason I'm not touching my tool down, I'm just kind of hanging it there, is because I want the paint to come off of the tool, but I don't want it to spread out more. So if I push my tool down closer to the canvas, it is going to pull the wrong way. It's going to make it larger. All right, I'll go close for the next one then. And then you can just kind of even it out that way. All right, if anybody's not following Jerry Lynn as well, she is an incredible dot mandala artist and glass worker. Glass worker, glass artist, I don't know what the proper way of saying it. She's an absolute artist. She creates masterpieces with glass. Let's put it that way. So you're dragging the side of the dot that's closest to the previous swoop so that you create that nice little space, right? And you're gonna line up that way. It becomes more important the more swoops you put in there, but that's how you kind of create yourself up for the spacing between the swoops. Yes, there's going to be 5 swoops. We're going to do another little tiny one right in here of green on either side of the white. All right, let's get nice and close. And try and get as close as I can. Let's see how I can do this. Tilt my camera, all weird. How's this gonna work? Let's see. Let's see how close I can get here. I hope this is okay. This is kind of as close as I can get, I think. I think this is as good as it's gonna get for the close-up for this one. All right. So I load up my tool, putting the dot down. Once it's the size I want, I no longer push down closer to the canvas, except for when my hand moves, and then I just let the paint drip off. Okay. Yay, big invoice was paid! Fantastic! That's awesome, Jerry Lynn. I'm so glad to hear that. So fantastic. So for anybody who's following along, I hope that this is helpful. And if you have questions, please let me know. And if you're planning on following along and painting later, remember that you can get the copy, you can get access to the recording on my website. If you choose to tip $5 or more, I'll send you a copy, or if you're a member of my Patreon already, I will be setting up new Patreon links for anybody new who wants to join us. But if you're following along later, if you're planning on following along later and you already know you're going to have the recording, what questions can I be answering for you now that might be helpful for you when you revisit this? Please let me know if there's something that I can be answering for you that might help, okay? Oh, thank you so much, Bale Beer. That means the world. Thank you. That's so kind. It does look like an AirPod. It totally looks like an AirPod when you drag that. Yeah. It's okay, Diesel. You're okay, babe. She's such a sweet girl. There we go. All right, so we're making some progress here. I might leave the little tiny green swoop. So here's a question for you, because you guys are the ones that are on this with me. Do you want me to continue going with swoops, or after the white swoops, are you comfortable doing your little other swoops yourself? Do you want me to go on to the concentric circle, or should I save the concentric circle for another tutorial? Let me know what you think, because we can do a tutorial that is all concentric circles and nothing else, if that's helpful. Let me know what you'd like me to do, because we've got another 40 minutes. We can probably still get to it, but if you want me to skip over the smaller swoops to get to the concentric circles to make sure, then I can definitely do that. You tell me what you want to see. Let's see what the consensus has to say. See what the consensus is here. Another tutorial in your opinion? Okay, perfect. That's one vote. Anybody else have other votes? I'm so glad, Jerry Lynn. That's so wonderful. Agree with Ish? Okay, all right. We'll just keep going with swoops then. Oops. Helps if it's in frame so you can see it, eh? All right, just letting a lot of paint drip off there. And Ish, I apologize, I haven't read through your email yet. I'm getting there. Tonight is computer work. Like, you notice that I didn't even post the event on this one today, and I kind of thought, you know what? I was so stressed this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, you forgot to do this and you forgot to do that. And I thought, you know what? The people who want to be here will be here. And everything is going to go fine. I don't need to get the event up. Everything's going to be fine, and I'll get a bunch of events up for next week. So I was really proud of myself today for letting go of that stress, to be brutally honest, because the stress I was putting on myself, and I'm really pleased with myself for not holding on to that today. Really pleased with myself. I'm like, no, we're just going to paint. We're going to have fun. It's not the end of the world that the event wasn't posted on Facebook. Nobody's gonna die. We're all gonna be fine. But I am gonna start to do a better job of doing that, but for today. Another tutorial as well? Okay, then that's what we'll do. We'll just keep doing swoops then. This is actually wood. This is one of the wood panels I get from, you can buy them at Dollarama if you're in Canada. They're just the wood panels. You can get them at Michael's and your craft stores and stuff, just the wood ones to paint. They're sanded usually nice and smoothly. The dollar store ones aren't necessarily always the best. They sometimes have some splits and stuff like that that you have to deal with, but for the most part, they're pretty good. Oh, dog hair. All right, so let's see if I can get in any closer for this one. So I'm just letting paint drop off now. Okay, then grabbing my pin again. There you go. Yeah, sorry guys. It's okay. I've sent 2 now. Yeah, I know. And I read the first one. I just haven't gotten to the second one yet. The first one was incredibly helpful. I just haven't gotten my brain around making notes on it and getting back to you. But I did. It was every point you made was so incredibly helpful and valid-ish. I'm so grateful for that. Okay. I'm still very new to the technique of doing the dragging. I think I'm more comfortable this way, so I think that's why I keep going to this method and not doing the dragging all the time, but it is something I want to practice more of. I think it'll depend on the surface as well. Like if you're painting on something really, really, really smooth, then your swoops will stretch longer when you do the dragging, right? I feel like maybe painting on ceramic or something like that might be a little bit more conducive to the dragging. Even stones, because stones just have a fairly smooth surface, and the molded stones anyway, where it's a little bit easier to do the dragging compared to the wood that's just so dry, right? All right, let's keep going. The first email, I've read it, and everything was very, very valid points and incredibly helpful-ish. I'm very, very grateful. I just haven't gotten my brain around typing up a reply yet, and I'm still kind of internalizing all of it and kind of using it to come up with some ideas. So when I sit and do my computer work this afternoon and evening, on my list is your email, and to kind of put it all together, I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to make kind of like a little document for myself with everything, and then I'll definitely be replying to you. I appreciate you taking the time to do that for me. It's so helpful. You guys all help me so much. I'm so grateful for it. You guys are the best. So lucky. Okay, I'm going to do this swoop, and then I'm just going to pause for a real quick second and take a drink. I feel like I need it. All right. So just like everything, this is all about practice, right? Finding out what tools work well for you. Lots of trial and error and lots of practice, right? Lots of trial and error and practice. I know. You know, my friends, and I don't know if you get this too, Ish, my friends used to always say, you know, oh my gosh, you text like you talk. I'm like, well, yeah, I do, because I know what one word texts sound like, and then it's like, okay. And you don't always answer questions right. It's like, I'm just going to send it, because then maybe we won't have to text 50 million times to clarify things. We can just text and move on. Ish, are you able to stay right until the end? Or are you going to be staying right until 3? Oh, quick update for anybody else too. So anybody who was part of the Patreon, I'm going to send the copy. I'm going to be uploading the copies of Christmas Eve tutorial, and I'm going to edit and upload the one from last night as well, and then the one from today. And then, Ish, I'm also going to do some editing too for the resin pours, so you can see the resin pours. So thank you for the brief little pause while I get a drink there. Right? Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. They're like, you don't have to write that much. I'm like, I do, because I don't want you to have questions. Oh no, Barb. Well, at least you'll have the recording, right? I'm sorry, Barb. That sucks. Are you getting any weather out there, Barb? All right. And because if you're going to be here till the end, anybody who wants to stay just past the end, I've got a couple other resin things to show you for stuff that I worked on yesterday a little bit, if you want to see. Yeah, I totally will. I will make you videos for that, and I will put it in our chat. I'll put a link in our chat, and I'm going to create some content too to put up on TikTok of that stuff. I have been absolute garbage with posting on social media these last few days. So that's the other part of my plan tonight, is just do some of this admin stuff that I need to do. Even if I just come up with a plan and start working towards that plan. My goal is to get back to posting 3 times a day. I want to be posting actual content 3 times a day. So that's what I'm working towards. I feel like I'm building up a nice little backlog now with a few lives. So I'm going to see what I can pull from the stuff that I've already got. Now the Christmas tutorial from yesterday, not really tutorial, I guess it was a live, kind of half tutorial, half live. That is going to be going out for content, but any of these tutorials, I'm not going to be repurposing these for content. Yeah, that was the best last night. Yeah, last night was really good. I'll do a compilation and add some of those in from last night too. Crap weather. Oh, yuck. I do. That's why I need to read your email. That is my ultimate goal, though. My ultimate goal is to eventually be able to put all of my raw video into a folder and then have a person to help with that and say, okay, here it is. Tell me whether it's TikTok content, Instagram, YouTube, for Patreon, whatever it is, and help with a lot of that, because that's my biggest buzzkill, honestly. But it's also the part that just takes me so much time, right? So there we go. So there's the white swoops. We ready for some little green ones next to it? I feel overwhelmed by people who post that much. Oh, I'm sorry. I think if it's good content, I think that can make a difference too. That can definitely make a difference, but I'll keep that in mind, Sharon. Maybe I'll do 2 times a day and see how that goes. Looks good so far, eh? So now we're gonna go down in here and we're gonna do some lime green, tiny, 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 tiny swoops. Oh, that needs to be even smaller, I'm afraid. I'm glad you guys like it. Are you guys, do you guys have any questions about how to do this yourself? You know, if you guys are painting along, please make sure you let me know if you have questions. So I'm just putting down the paint. I'm being very careful not to put my tool down too close to the surface because I don't want to smoosh that dot out too far, right? And then I'm just pulling it down with the pin. So the biggest factor in what your swoop is going to look like is going to be how much paint you put down in that first little one, right? Yeah, so I'm using my small needle tool. Oops, let me pull back and get focused here. So I'm using this small needle tool. That's the smallest one. It actually doesn't have a ball on the end. It's just a really, really tiny one. Right? I totally need to do that, Barb. Oh, I totally do. I need to just set up my tripod too, and like one of these days, one of my goals too is to get myself a good camera and use it for filming during the day as well, and to use it for like product photography and stuff. But I can get decent enough ones from my iPhone with that. But just to have another camera around somewhere to be able to film more and film different angles, because there's so many times when I sit down to paint that I just can't be bothered screwing around with setting up the camera and all of that sort of stuff, and it's just pure laziness on my part. So I just need to have the camera set up all the time. Perfect world, I'll buy somebody's old used iPhone or something and just use it to film and just always have it hooked up. Because that's the other thing too, right? I move my cords and all of that sort of stuff into the other room. So remembering to always bring everything back over. I do for a live, but remembering other times is a little bit tricky, so I just need to get duplicates of everything so I can just leave it set up and never think about it. Is that tiny dotting tool one of the... No, this is one of the double-ended ones from the kind of acrylic set that I have that has like the different color handles, these swirly ones. The other end of the tiny dotting tool is almost like this little... I'm Canadian, so it's a hockey stick, right? Little golf club hockey stick kind of one. Yeah, it is. It's just a nail art one. I would really like to try the silicone tipped ones. Sharon, is it you that bought the silicone tipped ones? I'm dying to hear if you like them. Allie, have you ever tried the Easy Mandala silicone tip dotting tools? They intrigue me. I am incredibly intrigued. I'm dying to hear from someone who's been using it. I'm at a stopping point for painting today, but so much improvement. Yay, Rex, that's wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? I've thought a lot about just strapping a GoPro to my head when I dot. I hate trying to figure out where to put. Totally, right? It's like when I get it into a good angle so that you can see everything, then it's like, well, where am I going to be? Like, I have to kind of maneuver around it sometimes. Sometimes I even paint through my phone, and that is not fun. That one, it's a little too trippy for me. Oh, it is Sharon that got them, yeah. Awesome. Oh, I'm excited to hear what you think of them, Sharon. The other day, mine was kind of exploded to spaced out, and one is a little too tight. That's okay. It's all practice, right? Like you said, it's all practice. One of my favorite quotes, or favorite concepts, I guess, I hear it all the time when I listen to Abraham Hicks. I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks videos on YouTube when I'm painting as well. If I'm not listening to Jason Mraz, that's what I'm doing. And they said, with every single bit of contrast, we get clarity. So every time I experience what I don't like, I am much clearer on what I do like and what I do want. So there's information in everything, even in the stuff that we don't like. Even if you can say very confidently, I don't like that, and that's not what I want to have happen again, you now have clarity, right? And clarity is pretty powerful. 2 more weeks. Are you excited for your birthday-ish? Are you going to do anything for your birthday? We might need to do like an online Zoom call for Ish's birthday. That could be fun. Oh, and that's tiring, isn't it, Rex? When your eyes get tired, that's when you know your body is telling you. I can fight through an awful lot of things when I'm dot painting, but when my eyes aren't cooperating and they're getting tired and irritated, there's not much you can do there. That's when you got to listen to your body and just shut it down for a little bit, right? Excited and nervous. Yeah, still nerves there? Yes, you are going to take over the world, my dear. You are going to change the world. And I'm just grateful to know you so I can sit and be along for the ride and watch you just take off like a rocket. We totally should do that, eh, Sharon? Ish, do you want to do that? You guys want to set up, if anybody who wants to be a part of that Zoom call, shoot me a message. Rex, do you want to be a part of the Zoom call? Send me a message and we'll set up a Zoom call. And it can be on your birthday or just around your birthday, but we'll have a little Zoom call. That could be fun. I think when you don't have a paid Zoom account, you can have up to 10, you can have 10 people for up to 45 minutes, I think, with the free version. Do a Zoom call. Does anybody have a Zoom account, like a paid Zoom account where there aren't any limits, that would be willing to set up the meeting and let us do that? I mean, we can use my free account, but we are going to have a limit to the number of people, right? Fun part about Swoops, I had a friend of mine tell me, you put so many swoops on that, it looks like the whole thing is covered with sperm. Isn't that nice? Like, that's not okay. Don't ever call my Swoops sperm again. Not okay. We'll totally do that, Ish. That would be so fun. If you want to. Ah, there you go. Jerry Lynn's in. Sharon, only if Ish lets us send her presents. What do you say, Ish? It's your birthday, so you have every right to say no. But if you want to do it, we'll do it. What do you think? I hope that this is helping with the swoops. I hope that if this is giving you some good practice. And again, we're not going to get through a huge portion of this. I will keep this one aside, maybe, for when we do the concentric circles. But it's good to just be able to practice some of these different techniques on whatever it is that you have. I don't ever want you to feel like you can't make what I'm making just because you don't have the supplies or the same size canvas or any of that sort of stuff, right? That's why I would prefer to stick with techniques and patterns and stuff that you can do on any size canvas with any colors and use what you have. Okay, no problem. We'll check back in with you, Rex. I had someone tell me that my peacock piece had spermies all around the feathers. Yes, yes. I'm like, no, don't ever say that about my paintings. Please don't say that again. Say it if you want to. Just don't make me hear it. But it's true. I'm so over this cold, you guys. I'm so done with it. The price of Zoom with me is a minimum of 1 present per attendee. Fair enough. Get that ukulele in the mail to me and we'll have that taken care of. Presents are optional, okay. Which means you have to share an address to which we can send them. We will totally, yep, we need the address for shipping-ish. You can send that in a message. Yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes you're like, I know you're trying to be funny, but, And I mean, I've thought it too. Like, look, I'm like, it looks like I have a whole bunch of sperm all over my painting. Swimming around in my painting. But still, it's like, I feel like that's a thing that artists say to each other, right? And not necessarily other people. I'm like, oh, great. I drew a really, a fiery colored mandala on my iPad once, and I tried to make it all look like fire, and I had this phoenix in it and everything. And then a friend of mine saw it and she goes, it looks just like from Catching Fire for the Hunger Games. And I'm like, well, I wasn't even looking at that. I wasn't even using it for inspiration, but great. You know, and I know she meant it as a compliment, but it was like, oh, I look like I've copied something. When I didn't, this was mine. But it happens, right? Okay, serious want to send me a present, but you don't have to, and we're all in the group chat on Instagram. Yeah. Yep, you can totally do. That's perfect, Ish. McDonald's coupons. Yeah, Instagram will be perfect. That's okay. I'll check in with Rex on Facebook and we'll touch base closer too. So Ish, you want to when you send the address in the Instagram chat, let us know a couple of dates that would work for you. And we'll figure that out. That'd be fun. That'd be so fun. Yay. All right, how are we doing, you guys? Everybody feeling okay with the swoops so far? So we only have a couple more. And that's the beauty of it. Because the swoops kind of make a similar shape to the petals, it's easy to just keep going with your design, right? So let me know how you're making out. And if you have any questions. Rex is still here, yay. Give me a little more time to figure out. Yes, totally. You let us know what's going to work for you, and you send dates, and then we'll work around that, okay? None of this has to be decided today. Be fun, though. But hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you guys who are painting along or want to paint along at some point. I hope that this was useful for you. I hope it gave you some ideas and some inspiration. I really love how this looks so far. This is going to be a fun one. All right. So there we go. Didn't get a lot done on the size-wise for the canvas, but that's a lot of detail work that we got in there, right? So later on, I can come in with top dots, and you can do top dots on swoops. So you could do a smaller swoop on top of each of these if you wanted to. I could add a purple swoop on top of the white. I could do any of that sort of stuff, okay? So you can play around with this however you want. You can put a dot up here and make it another piece of the petal. right? It's totally up to you. That's okay, Rex. We'll figure it out as it gets closer to, and if you're able to join us, great. If not, we're just going to keep doing a whole bunch more lives. So we'll have lots of opportunity to all hang out. So there's no pressure for any of it, and no stress at all. Nothing stressful. We are not in the market of stress. Yeah, the neons. I've seen, they're kind of watery when you get the Craft Smart ones. They're not too bad. But I have seen Creative Steph on TikTok. She uses the Liquitex Basics. And she likes that. Oh, thank you, Allie. I'm so glad you like it. It's going to be fun when it fills out, right? Like, this is where I start to get excited. I'm like, if I like it so much now, imagine when this whole canvas is covered in all of these colors, right? It's going to be so freaking satisfying. All right, well, let's end that for the tutorial part, okay? We'll leave now, dear. It's 1:30 here. Good night. Sleep well, Belle Beer. Thank you so much for coming by again. It was lovely to see you. Sending you heaps of love and lots of hugs. Ain't got time for the stresses. Exactly. I heard somebody say once, treat your energy like a bank account. Spend your energy like you would spend money in your bank account. Making sure that you are budgeting that energy and you're only putting it in the places where you need to. We'll have to maybe try and switch up some of the times one of these days too. I'm going to hopefully add more lives like this into the mix as well. But we'll see how things go, even just every once in a while. All right. So anybody have questions on Swoops? Anybody have any more questions on Swoops or spacing or, thank you. I love you too. That's so nice. Oh, I love you guys. And if not, I thought we'd take a couple minutes and I'll show you some of the resin stuff that I was working on. Are we good with that? So this is the end of the tutorial for the Swoops. I will upload this entire video onto Patreon for my Patreon members, and we'll go from there. Ish has a question. Yes. Question. My dog is rolling on the carpet trying to get my attention. Like, hey, look at me. I'm so cute. Pay attention to me now. Awesome. We'll be good to see you again, Bobir. Take care, my dear. All right, Ish. What's your question, darling? Resin, yay. All right. Oh, you're fine, Diesel. Where did Audrey go, though? Oh, she's up on the couch now. All right, so while Ish is typing her question, are the Swoops edible? Because they look edible. They are not, sadly, but you could do this. If you're good with icing and stuff, you could totally do some of this stuff with some icing and make it edible, darling. I'm just saying. All right, are you guys ready? So if you were on the live last night on TikTok, I poured resin on this guy. So this was inspired by this. And I added more. So the only thing, these ones are going to be the ones that are coasters. So I am going to put another coat on here because I did miss a couple of spots on the sides. Okay. So I am going to put another layer on here, but it's taped on the bottom. So this stuff is going to be able to actually come off, which is good. Yeah, on cookies, right? I wasn't sure it was going to happen yesterday, Ish. I'm so sorry. So that is that coaster. Allie, if you are not playing with resin yet, you are missing out. It is so much fun. Okay, so these are the little wood discs that I made, right? These were all of the monochrome ones. So I played with these and lots of learning, because I didn't cover the back on all of them. I'm going to get some good sandpaper and finish off the backs and make these into something. Right? So there were these. Let me go back here. Then you remember, here's learning experience number 1. We remember this, right? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I love it. It looks like it's just popping right off there. I can't take the tape off because I have to put another coat on. So I don't want to take the tape off until I've got both coats on. It scared the crap out of me too, Allie, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And then he goes running the second to sit on the floor, of course. Yeah, they're fickle like that. Okay, so remember this one that we did with these beautiful colors? Well, number one, I'm a bonehead, and I didn't tape the bottom. So this is what the bottom looks like. What a mess, eh? So I can't pop this off without pulling stuff off the side. So I'm keeping these, though, because I am going to try and get some kind of sander and see if I can't sand it down and still make it there. Oh, close-up of the blue one from yesterday. That's this one here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to sand the bottom to try and get that off, and then I'll tape it again and I can do another coat. That's what I'm really hoping that I can file it down. Really, really hoping that I can, because I also have this one. Oh, I got to reach. Oh, reach. Okay. Because then there was this one, the rainbow one, right? But it did the same thing. Now, last night, what we did last night is I took another one of these rainbow ones and I put it back in the mold, right? So imagine this actually sanded down properly, right? And this being clean, but I put this back into the mold, right? And then I poured a bunch of resin on top. So I had a nice thick layer of resin to be able to, ooh, a Dremel. Okay, I'll have to see if they have it here. I don't have one, but I'll have to try one. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Katie. That's awesome. For the palm reveal after the mandala dotting. What do you mean? I'm sorry. Yeah, the box cutter might help too, just to get some of it off of there. So these are still works in progress, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start having these, but this is going to go in the bottom, and then I can pour it on the top so I can build it up. Because these are the ones that are supposed to be the incense holders, right? I think you meant to say what we did last night without yelling ish. I know, I'm sorry. Without telling ish, I'm sorry. Wear a mask and eye protection when you sand or file or Dremel. You don't want resin dust in your lungs and eyes. Yes, very good point. Thank you. Yeah, because I didn't need to wear a mask when I was pouring it and mixing it because it was it's the no fumes, but I didn't think of that with the sanding. Thank you so much, Allie, for reminding me, because I would have been the bonehead that did that. So these are still good. They're still works in progress. I am still going to keep working on them. But they were fun to practice with, and I'm definitely going to be doing more of them. So what I did, though, is I had the other rainbow one, and I put it back in the mold, and then I poured a ton of resin on top to make. So look at this one from the side, right? Now look at this one. Look at it. And the sides are super, super smooth because it was in the mold. It's smoothed on the bottom too, so I'll have to peel all of this off, but this is going to be like peeling a sunburn. This is going to be so much fun to do. And then I do have to sand this down and put one more layer of resin on because the edges, it's really hard to see, but the edges are kind of sticking up a little bit because it didn't level too perfectly, but the sides are perfection. And then I'm going to be able to drill the hole into this and make this into the first incense holder, so the incense will stick right out of the middle, right there. Doesn't it look cool? So, one of the things that we learned with doing these is that I'd have to put a lot of resin on top, right, to be able to have the incense be held on there. So what I also did last night, when I poured that one back in the mold, I mixed some black acrylic paint with some resin, and I put them in the mold. And I ended up with these little tiny discs. They're a little floppy, don't really care, because what I'm going to do is I am going to paint dot mandalas on these, put them back in the mold, and then be able to put a ton of resin on top. So these are going to end up thick like this, and that's going to be absolute perfection for drilling the holes for the incense holder, part. Right? Isn't that gorgeous though? So I do need to sand down the top because it's got this ridge here, but I'll come up with a kind of a process for that. And then what I'll do is I'll tape off the sides and then just pour the top, and then that should be a perfect way to finish this one off completely. So I'm really, really excited with how this one looks. I'm still going to be substantially later than I wanted to be, and there's still quite a few bubbles in there, right? Do you see the bubbles? There's still quite a few in there, but when I look at it, I'm not upset with it. It looks all right. Yes, ideas for the black one. So like in theory, let me just pull this back out. So I'll paint on this, right? And then I'll put it back in the mold like this, and then I'll pour resin on top of it. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I want to eventually play around with it, like using black glitter or using like sand or different colors on the bottom, and then having it this way, because then I could just put the little foam or the little cork circles on it, and then you'd still have detail on the bottom, right? Wouldn't that be fun? I'd do some teal ones, I could do them layering, I could do all kinds of fun stuff. All right, I want to hear Ish's idea. I am going to blow my nose again while we're waiting for Ish's idea. So I'm super, super excited too, because I have a ton, like I'm talking 40 or 50 of these wood blocks. So I'm going to start painting mandalas on these and coat them in resin as well. Super, super excited. It's opening up a whole bunch of stuff to do now. Okay, so make a mandala, but not a full mandala. Then add a pretty good layer. Well, and that's what I was thinking of doing. Oh, that would be cool, though. Okay, I know exactly what you're saying. Make it kind of 3D. And I was thinking about doing that with the top dots. Have the top dots be layered as well. Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Oh, yeah. I'm totally going to do that. Do the center dot, then do the next layer, and then I can just do layer after layer in different pieces. That's a great idea. Dot stacking, there we go. I want about a dozen of those discs in different colors. You can totally do that. Totally do it. You let me know what you want to see and I will make it happen. But we're making progress, eh? And between that and then one more layer of resin on this guy, and that's going to be my first official coaster. I have two more that are drawn. I need to add the white to this purple one. Oh, and I can erase the pencil lines on this one. I've been waiting to erase the pencil lines on this one. I've got this white one that I'm going to go in with gold to do the accents. So where white was on the blue, on this white one, it's going to be gold. I think I'm going to have to go over the white again a little bit because it's a little faded. That's the hard part about the white. Let me just get these lines out of here so we can see this design nice and clear. And then don't forget too, I am going to do a tutorial in a couple of weeks on drawing mandalas. So we've only done dot painting up until now, but if you want to learn how to draw ones like these, I'm going to do at least one, if not multiple tutorials on how to draw them. Ooh, yeah, I'll do silver on the purple. I was even thinking of doing teal or lime green or pink. Like I want to play with different color combos too. Like I love the idea of doing a dark blue and then maybe like just like we kind of raise the top dots up to white, adding in a bunch of different accents. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, awesome. Glad I understood that right, Ish. Good. I sent you a video of someone, maybe Jessie D, dot stacking a few weeks ago. Oh, that's right, you did too. Yes, we will totally do that. Ooh, neon pink on the purple would be beautiful too. Yes. Because I have like, I wonder if this color works. I gotta shake it up. Well, actually, no, I can use the actual neon pink. That's the actual neon pink. A whole teal one with gold. Yes, like this. So any of these ones that I have poured, that's what these are gonna be. I'm gonna be making an absolute crap ton of these. Absolute crap ton. And I think I can even do them with the coasters like this too, but I don't want to waste the resin. The resin is doing it this way is definitely going to be for the incense holders. Now I am looking into as well, if anybody ever sees, and I'm going to do some research, but I'm going to look for little tiny straws. Like, you know, those little teeny tiny ones that, you know, you pop a blood vessel in your forehead and when you the veins pop right out of your forehead when you suck through these little straws, because I'm kind of hoping that I can put that into the mold somehow and be able to not have to drill, but we'll see. I feel like the purple needs a tiny gold center dot and it'll look like a flower center. Yeah. I'm going to do a bunch of these. So I'm going to do like a purple one with a teal, and then that could be a set, right? Like if I have a whole bunch of individual ones, and then people can build their own sets with what colors they want. But I'm going to do a purple one with teal. I'm going to do a purple one with gold. I'm going to do a purple one with white. All of them are going to have a whole bunch of different color combinations. I literally have 30 of these sitting around. And these ones don't take anywhere near the kind of time that the dot painting ones do. So I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of these. You guys are going to see pretty much every color combination that you could ever dream of. Oh, allergies are kicking your butt, Rex. Okay, go and get some rest. Please take care of yourself. And let us know if there's anything we can do for you, Rex. We're sending you lots and lots of love. Cocktail straws, you can buy them a box of 500. And so then that in theory then should work, right? I should be able to put that into the mold or even glue it down to the bottom of the mold maybe, so that the hole is there. I'll have to look into that. Yes, I will look at that. So right now the plan for these ones is to paint the dot mandala on here, put them back in the mold, and then stack it. So this would be a good one too to try the different stacking. No, Rex is going to play it, just play it by ear, and once we know more, we'll keep in touch with Rex and let her know what's going on and go from there. Instead of tiny straws, look for blunt tip industrial needle tips. Ooh, okay. Thanks, Allie. Screenshot that. Here. Yep, there we go. Screenshotted that. Okay, awesome. Even clip a toothpick. I was worried that the resin would stick to the wood or anything that I put in there. So that was my fear, is would it stick to it? But as long as it wouldn't, then I will totally start working on that, because it would be so much easier to not have to drill and just have the hole already there, right? So lots of stuff to play with though, you guys. Lots and lots of fun stuff. So a little bit more fixing up to do on these. Gonna add some detail to all of these babies. And yeah, lots of stuff to play with. I'm so excited. Thank you again, Sharon, for the wonderful gift. And thank you, Jan. Jan sent me some more resin that's on its way. So, and I've got a mold. Don't forget I have a mold that's coming too that's going to make little discs about this size. This is the one that Molly painted for me. Is it about the same size? Yeah, I think they're about the same size. So it's going to be one's kind of this small size. So I'm going to be making earrings and necklaces with these ones too. It's going to be so fun, right? The resin, I just can't get enough of it. Can't get enough of it. I'm so freaking excited. I think I might even coat Molly's in resin too, so it's like a nice smooth stone that I can take with me everywhere. Oh, Allie, I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad you were able to come and spend time. It was so fun to hang out with you too. Sending you so much love, hun, and huge hugs. Yes, more resin, more resin. I am using art resin, Jerry Lynn. I'll show you the bottle if that helps. This is the hardener, but this is the brand that I'm using right now. Eventually, I'd like to get into epoxy and, you know, save some money because art resin's so expensive, but that's where I'm starting right now. So yeah, this is going to be fun. I got to finish up this one. I got to deal with this. I'm going to put another coat on this one and start putting these ones together. So it's going to be fun. Thank you, Allie. Much love. All right, you guys. I think I need to give my voice a bit of a break. I'm starting to feel a little bit more horsey again. And I'm going to go get something to drink and have something to eat. But thank you so much for coming and spending so much time with me again today. I love spending this time with you guys, and I'm so grateful that you guys enjoy it too. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll be back again. I'm going to put my schedule up later today as well for next week. We'll be back here for a 2-hour tutorial next week, and we'll do those concentric circles and start piecing things together. There's a couple other patterns I want to do as well. And then we'll talk about different color combinations and top dots. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. So, just keep me posted on what kind of things you want to see, because I'll definitely create tutorials to help you out with what you want to see. And thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you to everybody who has joined the live, who has commented, who has shared it, and all of that sort of thing. This is something that I really want to make to be a core part of what I do, is doing these lives and being able to get you guys some useful information. So love you too, Jerry Lynn. Love you, Brianna. I didn't know you were still here. It's so good to see you. Sending you guys heaps and heaps of love, and I'm gonna get to creating some content. Definitely gonna keep loving the lime green. It's just so much fun, the pops that it puts out and everything, right? I have a new addiction. I'm starting to realize which color paints I'm gonna go through a lot faster than others. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know, and otherwise, I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you again so much for coming to hang out with me. Patreon members, I will have the Christmas and the Christmas Eve tutorial up over the next couple of days. And Instagram group, I will send the resin pour stuff to you as well. Sending you guys so much love. Love you too. Thank you. Bye, guys. Take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Bye.